Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at a type of cosmetic item, which means it's just for looks, it has no practical use, in Star Wars The Old Republic called a Flair. A Flair is something that will show up around your character portrait, beside your nameplate above your head, as well as in the tooltip, when your character is hovered over. There are a ton of different flares in the game, and if you have any, they'll be in your character sheet. And there's a teeny tiny button, it looks kind of like a medal, and you select title, and your character flares are located under character flare. Now here's the trick, most of these are very expensive Cartel Market items. You can see a majority of the flares in collections, and they're under the flares category. There's not very many, but most of the flares that exist are in here already, so you can buy them directly from the Cartel Market. They're usually up most of the time, or you can buy them on the GTN from other players with credits. Warning, they're quite expensive. The other flares that are available in the game include ones that are retired that you can no longer get from various community events. There's only one single flare that you can earn that is not either bought or retired or related to ranked PvP. So let me show off your very first flare that you can get without buying. It's one of my favorites by far. It's the legendary status flare. So as you can see under my character portrait, something has changed. It's just a pretty little effect that'll show up there. And when my nameplate is showing, I also now get a symbol here. And when I roll over my tooltip, I now have a little gold glowing symbol beside my tooltip. Those are the 3 different ways that a flare will change your character's appearance. So this really cool flare, you can only get it if you have played each of the 8 class stories all the way through on the same server. So you have to play your trooper, your bounty hunter, all of that. So it's considered quite an achievement to be a legendary player, and this is the main reward that you get, as well as when you're logging into your characters, it shows you as a legendary player. It's something I really like having, and it was a lot of fun to play through all the stories. So now let's take a look at some of the ones that you would buy as a cosmetic item. So these are, once again, just for looks, and because they're more on the rare side, some of them are quite expensive. So this first one is the Eternal Command, and this is kind of related to Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne. It's got kind of a broken shield symbol that's got some electricity around it. I really like the way it looks around your character portrait, and I used this one quite a while when it first came out. And of course it shows up beside your nameplate and on your tooltip. Next up is going to be the Corrupted Command, and this is meant to be like evil version of that one. The shield symbol is inverted and there's glowing red smoke coming out around it, so it's more just an option for Darksiders. Next up, we've got the Sign of Havoc, and this is definitely a trooper themed cosmetic item, but of course any class can wear it. So it's got the Havoc Squad trooper symbol in red, and it's got some kind of techie heads-up display animations. I think it's supposed to match some of the Obsidian armor stuff that came out that was also for the trooper. Here we've got the Sign of Carnage. I'm not entirely sure what this one is. I think it might have something to do with the gods of the machine stuff, one of the symbols of one of the gods, but I really was never sure exactly what the Carnage meant or what it was referring to, but it is just a nice, simple, glowing yellow symbol. Googling what is Sign of Carnage did not help me. So this is Sign of Agony. And I believe this is along the same line of things, a symbol of one of the gods from the machine. Both of those are part of the IOCast storyline, kind of related to the Knights of the Eternal Throne. And there are these big machine gods, and each one has its own name, symbol, and lore. There is the ever-popular Snowtacular. This one's cute. It's a very winter-themed one. It's a little snowflake with little snowflakes falling around it. It's especially cute because on your nameplate you can see teeny tiny snowflakes falling. This one is not always available on the Cartel Market and can be hard to find on the GTN, but sometimes they put it back up for sale and players buy it and resell it around winter time. Sign of Mandalore. So this one's very much a Mandalorian themed flare, and it's got the skull symbol that you'll most often associate with the Mandalorians of this era and of other ones. It's the fantastical mythosaur character that's a big part of their lore, and it's glowing red, and it's got a little animation associated to it too. Most of them are animated, but which parts are animated kind of vary depending on the flare. Next up, we've got the Sign of Prosperity. This one's just like a ridiculous one. Like, it's literally just a credit symbol that's shining, probably to show off that you have way more credits to spend than you need to. I think this one might be fun for a player who considers themselves like a GTN mogul. Next up, we have the Sign of the Captured, and this one's very much related to the Knights of the Fallen Empire story. Without going into too much spoilers, at some point during the story... Oh! It broke my tooltip. At some point during the story, your character gets carbonated, and what's cool about this one is it actually changes your character portrait a bit. It turns them gray, kind of a stony or rocky looking texture is applied to it, so it kind of gives the idea that you're in carbonite with some little smoke in front of it. The icon for this one is my favorite out of all the flares that go beside your nameplate. It's really cute. It's a teeny tiny person in carbonite. Kind of looks like a Han Solo at this point. And it looks like this tooltip, as well as a few of the other ones, is broken, so it's not necessarily showing the credit symbol from the last one we looked at, but it's actually showing the fact that it doesn't have one at all. So if I flip back to none, and then I flip back to Sign of the Captured, it's still broken. Fine. Okay, carry on. I think it'll show whatever one you had equipped last. Sign of the Dark Lord. This one I think is kind of a fan favorite. I think it fits really well with the Inquisitor. You can maybe use it on your Jedi who just really likes purple. Not too bad for the warrior as well, but I really feel like it's themed towards the Inquisitor. It's got kind of a arcane sigil on it and some really cool purple textures, and it glows purple. And on the character portrait, it's actually got like a wheel of lava going around. It's kind of a weird concept. It doesn't match specifically anything in game that I know of. Just apparently lava and purple is where it's at. Next up is Flair Jawa Mask. This is also a fan favorite. This one's so cute. So Jawa Mask replaces your character's portrait with a Jawa, and like other players can see this too. Then when they click on you, they just see a Jawa. It looks like this one also has a similar bug where it probably won't change your tooltip, but it does give you a teeny tiny Jawa face. It really reminds me of the Jawas emojis you can use on the official SWTOR.com forums. So cute. This one can be a bit hard to get a hold of because so many people like it or think it's funny. Next up, we'll do Sign of the Ancient Jedi. I really like this one. If you were looking for a more Jedi themed one, this one is perfect. This one is based around the planet of Ossus, the Jedi Under Siege update. The terrain is very similar to Ossus. So you've got the rocky mountains, you've got a beautiful waterfall. I think they took the animation from the lava one and turned it into a wheel of water. But they also had like a little puff of smoke at the bottom of the waterfall, and it looks really pretty. I don't really mind that it's kind of a reskin for that section. And you've also got a bunch of vines growing, which are meant to represent Ood Banar, which is a big part of some of the secrets you can find on Ossus. And If I remember right, the symbol of that flower that it's showing is an ancient symbol of the light side of the Force. Like, I think it's called Ashland Bogan, if I pronounce that right. It's just a really pretty flare. You can see a bit of the water wheel on the tooltip as well. Here you've got Sign of the Desert Wanderer. This one's really pretty. Oh, I love this one. So the tooltip and the nameplate icon are pretty, but nothing special. But the actual character portrait one is so pretty. It rotates through kind of a cycle. I'm gonna let it just run for a bit. It'll show you the twin suns of Tatooine as they're setting during sunset. And then, not only does it have that wonderful little animation of it moving from right to left around your character portrait, come on, then the moon comes out and the stars, and apparently the triple moons of Tatooine show up and rotate through in a similar way, showing like the night cycle of Tatooine. Very, very pretty. And once again, you can kind of see the horizon where the moons are setting. And it'll loop back through to the sun one. So, such a pretty concept. I love just everything about this one. Whoever designed it and thought, hey, let's do something totally different with flares. A+. Next up, I'll show you Flair Wastelander. So I think this one was supposed to be kind of Tatooine themed. It's got a lot of the similar aspects as you see with the Sand People kind of designs. It doesn't really have a description of exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's got leather, possibly a bone, little bits of rope, maybe some carved stone is the circle. Not entirely sure what it is, but I do. Think it'll be great for like any type of character that considers themselves deserty or a wanderer or anything like that. It also has a really cool little animation of the wind blowing across your character portrait. Next up, we've got Opulent Aristocrat. This one's just a pretty fancy one. This one kind of beckons back to some of the designs from Makeb. And then there's some more recent decorations that are like spa decorations, and I think this is very similar to their design. Very smooth wooden edges, little tranquil waterfalls, lily pads, lotus flowers, stuff like that. And it shows a tiny waterfall, shows a flower, and it shows just kind of a wooden design here. And the water's kind of trickling down. Just a simple, pretty one. I think it's having the same tooltip problem as some of the other ones, so it shows the little flowers beside your name. And I think the flowers, I know it's quite small, they're on lily pads, and the lily pads are showing an animation of like little ripples as if they're sitting in water. Next up is Obsidian Squad. So this one is, oh, I mentioned earlier I thought one of them might be related to Obsidian, but I guess this is the one that's truly an Obsidian Squad tooltip, huh? So this one is Obsidian Squad. It has a small rotating icon near the nameplate, and it also has a little symbol beside your character flare. We've got the Nightlife VIP, and I think this one's like very casino related. It's kind of funny. The little icons actually rotate through a bunch of different holographic signs. So the nameplate and the tooltip stay the same, but the actual character portrait, it just lives its own life and does its own thing. It's got a little spinning credit symbol on the bottom even. We've got the Manufacturer's Protocol, and this one's really cool. The designer of this one said it was inspired by IG-88 and the Hunter droids, and it does this really simple kind of spinning animation that's really fun. This would be perfect for a bounty hunter, I think, and be pretty good for like a smuggler or an Imperial agent, or maybe even a trooper who wants something less overtly Havoc squaddy. A very cool kind of technology-based Flair. And then I'm going to show you some of my favorite ones. I was so excited when these came out. These are actually sold in a bundle, like you buy all 4 from the Cartel Market when you buy them. But you might be able to find the individual ones on the GTN. So they're the Force Crystal Flairs. And they're all the same, except they're different colors. So they're just meant to represent crystals you might find on Ilum or the caves of Tython, wherever you want to imagine they're from. And they're actually has a slight animation on all the crystals on the tooltip, on the icon beside your nameplate, and on your character portrait. The little crystals, they very gently float up and down. It's a very subtle animation, and you can even see it in the tooltip over there. So this is the red one. This is purple, like a amethyst. We've got green and blue. So all 4 of those are kind of part of a matching set, but you can only use one at a time, sadly. So if you did buy the pack, you could, if you want to distribute them between your characters. Now, for all of those, they are all part of the Cartel Market, except for the very first one, not the legendary one, that you just automatically get for all your characters. All the Cartel Market ones, once you buy the item either from the Cartel Market or from the GTN. Let's say you really love the Snowtacular one and you wanted to use it on all of your characters. Once you use it on a first character, you can pay some extra cartel coins to unlock it for your entire account, so that any current or future characters you have will get a copy of it for free from collections. So if there's any you really love, make sure to take advantage of that and not buy a ton of different copies instead. Next up, I want to show you some of the flairs that are not part of the Cartel Market. There isn't very many, so unfortunately most of these are going to be retired. Or at least partially retired. This first one I'm going to show you, you can get roughly once a year. This is called the Old Republic Flair. It was one of the first flairs in the game. It's a white symbol of Star Wars, the Old Republic, on a red background. And this comes from the anniversary event, and you can actually get this about halfway through December to halfway through January, usually is when they put it, every year, from the anniversary vendor. So if you don't already have it, you will be able to eventually get it, as long as you're patient. And now I'll show you some of the retired ones. So some of the retired ones are from various community events. And, oh, the tooltip's broken. It's fine. These kind of all roughly look the same. They have a very Old Republic style of ring around your character portrait, as well as some Arbesh, and this actually says something if you take the time to translate it. All of the community event ones look very similar, but they are actually different. So that one was Livestream Cantina 2018. Here's Cantina 2019. Here is Celebration Cantina 2019. And here is San Diego Comic Con 2019. And I believe there is one more from New York that I don't actually have. But you can imagine it looks about the same with slightly different Arbesh. Now here's some really fun ones that are super retired. So during the Knights of the Eternal Throne expansion launch, we got an entirely different gearing system called Galactic Command, and part of that is very similar to the system we have now called Renown. And there was ranks you could go up. Basically, every time you're at max level and you get XP, you would go up a Renown rank and you would get a box of loot. During that gearing system, for whatever reason, it also awarded you a Flair. I don't remember exactly what the tiers were, but there was 4 tiers, each one with its own gear rewards. So here's tier 2. Here's tier 3. I should run around with tier 4 because I can be a cool character with a high-end retired one. And here's tier 4. So they're all about the same, just the different Roman numerals on them. So those are completely gone. You cannot get them at all anymore. Just wanted to show you for fun. And there was one more from a code, or rather from a unique period of time. In July, it was around summer 2020. Star Wars The Old Republic came out on Steam, and to celebrate that, they made a unique Steam kind of flavored Flair for everybody. It was free. I think you just had to log in during a certain period of time. And this is called the Pipeworks Flair. It's got lots of little bits and pieces, kind of reminiscent of some of Steam's and Valve's kind of imagery. I thought it was quite a funny thing to give away, especially because Flairs are so hard to get a hold of. It was cool that it was a Flair pretty much everyone could get. And that is pretty much it for all the normal Flairs. There are, however, a big pile of Flairs that are available for ranked PvP that I'll show you a few of next. So the last set of Flairs are quite exclusive, and the average player, including me, are probably not going to even aspire to get these. These are the ranked PvP rewards when it comes to Flairs. They started in Season 8, and at the time of making this video, there's 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 should be coming out soon, and it's presumed that they'll keep releasing them for the next seasons. And basically they go bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and then each season is really similar with very minor differences in the way they look. The biggest difference is the actual number for the season. And what ranked PvP is the competitive version of player versus player content. And you play matches against other competitive players and you get a rating. Exactly how these Flairs were rewarded changes kind of each season a little bit. But basically, if you did well enough, you could get yourself a Flair. I hope this video showing off all the Flairs was interesting to you, especially because most players will not get to see most of them. If you're looking to get a Cartel Market one, either from the Cartel Market itself or by buying it from another player on the GTN, I hope it helped you decide whether it will be worth it or not, checking out the animations, how the tooltip behaves, as well as the little symbol beside your nameplate. If you want to show your support for this series, I encourage you to visit SWTORista.com/support and pledge to keep these guides going. And if you want to have similar Star Wars The Old Republic videos show up on your YouTube homepage, subscribe to this channel. May the Force be with you.